And I want to hear a commitment from you, Mr. Painter, right now.
No,
I want a commitment right now. Will you put the shelter out to bid?
Your time is up. Please remove yourself from the podium.
My time is up. Please remove myself from the podium. This is what disastrous leadership looks like in our county.
You are causing this meeting not to move forward.
My name is Chris Hicks. I live at 444 Woodward Court, Cincinnati, Ohio. Thanks for letting me talk. This other presentation, it reminds me when I was a small child, I remember listening to Vietnam War updates on the news. And it's 3 years into running this shelter. And at some point, the propaganda that everything's great, everything's fixed, everything's going to be better, it has to end. I think this whole thing has become an embarrassment to our county. And it's an embarrassment to what should be Republican, efficient governmental leadership. You not only can't fix problems, you create problems that then you can't fix. There's been 2 shelter operators that get demonized regularly in these meetings, but the problems now are yours. The building has always been yours. If it was not properly maintained in the past, that was on you. The failure since taking it over is worse, but the failure now is worse than anything. It's the failure to be able to admit that you made a mistake and need to move the shelter back towards a humane society control. When you cannot make that admission and you continue on this path of a big government-run shelter, you're not ultimately ever going to solve the problem, and we're going to be condemned to forever listen these meetings being monopolized by the animal shelter. No other commissioners in Southwest Ohio, or probably the whole state, spend as much time in meetings on animal shelters as you guys do. In any company, you would be gone. But in a crony Republican system that gives us mediocre and unethical behavior too often in offices, you stay here and you just keep explaining it away. That same system just recently endorsed Larry Householder campaign finance crooks, Alan Freeman and Gene Schmidt. Miss Zermely sitting right here. The federal court just slapped her down for trying to weaponize the criminal justice system against me. Brian Schreiber is back there. He tried to cover up for party official Greg Carson embezzling money from Clermont Senior Services. This is an embarrassment, and you are putting on display as Republican-endorsed officials the inefficiency, the unethicalness, and worst of all for you guys, the inability to solve problems. It's time to end this clown show that's one of your own making, and the shelter monopolizing these meetings. I want to say to everyone, this is not what Republican leaders should look like. Republican leaders should be efficient, small government, effective leaders. These people are arguing that the solution is government control over an animal shelter that no county does, that I'm aware of in the state. But I'd like to hear you talk about that, or in our region. This has got to end. It's an embarrassment to Republicans and Clermont Countyans. Trust me, though, the incompetence is pervasive in our government. The thing unique here is that there's animal lovers that pay attention to it. It's a lot worse when you look at other departments and other areas. And I wish that people would do that. And I wish that the media would do that to see what happens when government becomes inefficient and led by mediocre cronies at its head. I'm just one person fighting for better and truer Republican conservative leadership in our county. Today, I want to commit, just as me, that if animal lovers want to hand out at the polling locations on November 5th slate cards that say, leave Miss Batchler and Mr. Painter's vote blank. Don't fill it in. To send a message, it's called an undervote, to send a message of this can't go on. This feeling of Republican entitlement that you can have crony people put in offices that they're not qualified for and show every week that they cannot solve problems that they create and just keep trying to explain it away. God, only imagine if half the money they have spent on the shelter had been offered to one of the private operators beforehand. Think of how much better it would be. You'd be able to also get a cat there. That is reprehensible what's been happening. It's reprehensible the ongoing excuses that are made by these people. Guys, you've had plenty of time. Last week, you interacted with the people. I appreciate that. This week, you're basically sending the signal you're going to not interact with people. But I want to ask you right now, I have 42 seconds left. I want to give each of you an opportunity, one by one, to commit right now to moving this shelter back to humane society control and out of the hands of government control. Ms. Corcoran, will you commit to move the shelter back to humane society control by putting it out to bid? Mr. Painter, will you commit to Humane Society control by putting the shelter out to bid?
Mr. Hicks, I have absolutely no problem with looking at or entertaining.
Not entertaining or looking at it. That's a typical politician answer. I'm okay to look at it and entertain it, but I won't actually commit to anything.
I'm not.
Ms. Batchler, will you commit to?
I think Mr. Painter is speaking.
I'm not here.
Trying to.
I'm not here to.
He's
argue.
taking my time, okay?
He took his time.
You took
It's
my-
not his time when I've been recognized. See, this is the kind of crony thing. I've been recognized, they take my time, and it's somehow my fault. This has got to stop. And I want to hear a commitment from you, Mr.
time
Painter,
is
right
up.
now.
No, you.
I want a commitment right now. Will
wouldn't
you
let
put the
me
shelter
answer.
out to bid?
Your time is up. Please remove yourself from the podium.
My time is up. Please remove myself from the podium. This is what
Mr.
disastrous
Hicks,
leadership
you
looks
are,
like in
you
our
are
county.
causing
Mr.
this
Hicks,
meeting
sit
not to
down.
move forward.
Mr. Hicks, go sit down. That's the concern.
Thank you.